said I'm finished, point at my scars, then turn away. But I keep breathing.
Welcome to another episode of Beautiful Ashes with Auntie Mercy. Today is International Day of Families, and therefore the focus will be on the family. We're going to discuss different aspects of the family, and I have a special guest with me today. Just hold on as we go for a break, and you will see who our special guest is for today.
Beautiful ashes, I'm rising from the ground again. Dancing through damage, my broken heart is learning to bend.
Welcome back, viewers. Today, my guest is Pastor Samuel Sikeyo, who has a ministry that focuses on marriage, youth, and leadership. Welcome, Pastor Sam. It's good to have you in the studio today.
Thank you, Aunt Mercy. It's my pleasure.
Yes. Today, I just want you to give the viewers a brief account of your life. Who is Pastor Sam?
Okay, so my name is Samuel Sikeyo. I've been a pastor for quite a few years. My background actually is into media. I come from the background of media and advertising, and every time I'm in a studio, I'm really at home. So yeah, my focus really at this particular point, I have an assignment, a God-given assignment for what is called the Couples Retreat Center. While our ministry is broad, it includes leadership and youth, but everything is focused and tied to family, which really comes back to couples. And so it's important to say that from the beginning, because really that's what our ministry is all about. And so family is an important part of who we are. I think God, from the time He established family has never failed. It's up to today, from the time God said it's not good for a man to be alone. That has never changed. Even today, it's not good for a man to be alone. So that's what I can say for now.
In your simplest of terms, how would you describe what is family?
Well, family is a place really where people share their lives. They live in this space. They belong to this space, and this space gives them identity. This space gives them room to express themselves. This place has some way of understanding them, some way of plugging them into the rest of the universe. So people who come from solid families tend to be more stable, tend to be more, so to speak, more analytical of things, because they come from a place where they have dealt with different characters. People who come from maybe individualistic spaces or places where they don't have a proper family structure, they tend to, have difficulties when they now have to deal with the rest of people, because then they find it strange that other people are introverts, others are extroverts, and all of that. And sometimes it can be difficult when you see that somebody is an introvert and you're not used to seeing introverts. But if you're in a family, you will have the full bouquet of different personalities and characters. So you will know, this must be somebody like my brother. They're introverted, so I don't need to overwhelm them. I need to know how to approach them. Yeah, so it's very important to realize that while there's so much talk today against the God-designed family, people are talking about a different kind of structure of family that sort of, in a way, opposes the original idea. And see, without me being political about it, family today is being reorganized. And in that reorganization, many times we miss the point that God stated it to be. I'll be very clear. The Bible is very simple. God made them male and female. Without any confusion, it's clear from the beginning. It worked from the beginning. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, and therefore it should work all the way to the end. There's nowhere where I don't think it's okay to get to some place where people begin to say, no, you know what? It depends how you feel, whether you feel you are male or female. And I think that God's design is there. Of course, I'm aware that there is an issue of intersex, people who are born with the two sexes.
Yes.
It's a different discussion on its own. But let us not be unaware of what God said from the beginning, and that's what is final. Yeah.
And can you tell us what types of family structures, you've talked about, even like you're saying now that you've talked about the intersex kind of, that's a biological,
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know whether to call it a handicap or I don't know,
condition,
disorder or a condition, a state.
It's a natural condition.
Yes, a natural condition. So in the past, when we look, there's been a traditional way, especially the Africa in our African context. What other types of family structures can you talk about?
Yeah, I think that's really the original family structure, which is ordained by God. There are no courts in the Garden of Eden. It's just God and two people, and He establishes it. And I think for a long time, we probably thought that maybe Africa didn't have it the right way, but I think Africa has had one of the best family structures in the world. And we still have remained to honor that kind of setting to today, where we see changes have been made. We have also seen how it has broken the family. We've seen how it has broken the nations. We've seen how it has broken the churches. And this is not what pleases God. But I think most of Africa still remains to have this sort of kind of like biblical original setting of marriage, where a man leaves his mother and his father, joins his wife, and the two become one. Yeah, we've seen certain structures where it's the woman who leaves and joins the man's family. It's not in my place maybe to say whether that's wrong or right, but I think I can only say when I go back to where I take my definition of marriage, I find that most of the African settings remain to be the original settings of what God set up in the Garden of Eden.
From the African context, you see that homes are made up of not just the mother and the father and their children, but there's the extended family.
Absolutely.
That also comes in. You find that, but there's a difference now with the way the world is evolving.
Right.
And you're finding some that just want to live as a nuclear family. They're moving away from the traditional way, the way it was that grandmother, grandfather, if people grew old, they lived all in one family.
Yeah.
Can you say something about that?
So I think this is what I meant from the beginning, that African type of family. Because I think the way as Africans, the way we are, of course, there's been some slight shifts, but the original setting still exists by and large. In most of these homes, you find there is a grandmother still. But I think in the Western Hemisphere, that is almost dead, because now what is large out there is that there are big facilities where they take all the aged people and they leave them to die alone. And I don't think that's what God intended for family to do. He intended for family to be this one place where we live our whole lives until we are taken away from that family. This is why you will see that grandmothers are even mentioned in the Bible. So it means it is really a part of what God is talking about. And if we live this, we're living what God meant for us to be. But of course, we live in a very sophisticated world today. A lot of families may be affected financially, and sometimes that could be a limiting factor. So the concept still remains the same, except that maybe the way of implementing it is different. So necessarily the difference is, if you look at the Western Hemisphere, it doesn't matter whether someone is rich or poor, they want to keep a grandmother. But in Africa, most of the time you find that unless somebody is really poor and cannot afford, then, maybe they'll ask them to go to the village or something. And in the towns, we've sort of focused a little bit more on the nucleus family, whilst in the village it's still very broad and everybody is open to come back. This is why when people go work and they do whatever work they do, they still go back to the village to go and settle after retirement. So this still comes back to what I'm saying, to say Africa and perhaps maybe even Asia has remained, by and large, remained to honor what God spoke about in the beginning. Whereas in many other places, families no longer, people even feel that a grandmother is not my relation. And so that is a wrong thing. Or maybe grandmother is somebody I see once a year. Whereas the truly African, maybe even Asian way of doing things, that grandmother is there all the time. In fact, grandmother looks after the grandchildren as helpers to this mother and father. Whereas in the Western Hemisphere, it's not looked like that. Even grandmothers who are rich, they have their own mansions and they live on their own, and they employ nurses. They don't have a niece to come and look after them. Whereas most of Asia and Africa, we really still live a village in the city.
As you are saying, from family we get support, we get the love, and we get the care.
Absolutely.
And then you'll find that for some people, because of the type of environment within that family, they are coming out kind of with some abuse, with some all kinds of mishaps, mental issues, psychological issues. What can you say about an environment like of a polygamous family? Because if you look at us traditionally in the past, even today, and not just where we're coming from, you find that there are people that are still having 2, 3 wives, and some may not have them within the same space, but
or the same context. They are existing in different contexts.
But they are existing in different areas. Yes. Right. So what can you say about such type of a family? Because a family is meant to build you. A family is meant to support you and to care for you. So we see that there's a different kind of understanding, and children that are coming from those homes, most of them you find that they have a lot of questions as to what real marriage is about. Like you said, that it's between one man and one woman.
Yes. So really, anything that's good, anything that God set up in the beginning, has room to be abused. There are people who actually really look for loopholes to abuse what God meant for good. It doesn't make it bad. It simply means people are the ones who are bad, not God. Because God, in his original frame, he said it, God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So when he said it, it was set like that forever. But when men came in now, they brought, other ideas. And in some cases, God permitted such. Because he is a God of love and a God of order. So how do we go about this? What it is that every time we have a problem, let's refer back to the original. Then we will not have difficulties. But the problem comes in that people will say, no, but we are used.
Yes.
It's also in the Bible. This one had 2 wives. This one had 700 concubines. Yes, it's in the Bible, but does it mean every behavior in the Bible is correct? Absolutely not. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that. We can see mistakes in the Bible, and God speaks into these mistakes. What does he say? So it's very important for us to realize that while we might want to find loopholes in the Bible for us to sin, it doesn't make it good since it's in the Bible. No. Principle is principle, and God gave us the most important thing we have is the Holy Spirit. The Bible says the Holy Spirit teaches all truth. What is he teaching you? You see what I'm saying? And if we are honest to ourselves, we will not look for a finger to hide behind because we are just behaving like a 3-year-old. So it's important for us to realize that what God said cannot be tainted in any way. Having said that, I also want to say that you see, even where it's just mother, father, and children, and maybe a grandmother, and the proper setting in itself, it doesn't mean that everyone in that home and everyone in that setting will be a good person. There may be a seed that's not good.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So in that regard, we cannot make the entire family terrible because there is a seed which is not good. So this is why we have leadership in our process. So to teach leadership so that even when things go wrong, the person who is charged with leadership must rise up and deal with the matter,
Yes.
which is very important. And I also know that there's a thought of saying, when we say an African family, there's so many definitions of an African family. And to many, the moment you say African family, they are thinking of polygamy, definitely.
Yes.
But I don't think that's the way.
No.
I don't think so. What I really think is that it's the element of grandmothers being part of this family. That's what makes an African family. And I know that people might stand to disagree, and I will not fight anybody. I mean, people are entitled to their own opinions. And it's very important that we take these opinions as something that is helpful, rather than something that should not be said or should be denied a voice. A voice is very important. For me, I think I told myself early in my ministry that I would fight for everybody to express themselves rather than shut them down, because we all have a level of intellect that can help us, to guide us to what is right and what is good. So while we hear many teachers, while we hear many people who can be good proponents of any social setting, any social scientists, we are so many out there. But someone has a right to say, I think I would like to go with this kind of an idea. Other than that, I believe that the final authority in terms of family is God. It comes back to God. If God says it, it's the right thing to do.
Yes. What can you say about single-parented homes? The children that are coming from there, maybe it's just with a single mother, there's no input of a man, or it's a single man and there's no input of a wife. So in such circumstances, what advice can you give in raising up those children to be children that will not have any dysfunctions and to have a wrong perspective about life?
Nombala mwishiba iridi ashiri alishupa. Like, really, what I'm saying is that this issue is very emotional. And previously, before I had my own share of single parenthood, I think I had a bit of misconceptions here and there. But when I walked into it, when my late wife went to be with the Lord, I realized it's the whole village. And it's not the hands of one person. So I found myself with all the education I have, with all the psychology I have on how to lead my children. I felt that I was not adequately trained. I found that I didn't have enough. With all the experience I have, I found that it wasn't enough. And to put context to it, when you come face to face with a problem with a child and you are alone, it's heavy. It's not easy. So I found myself calling the hands of aunties. Again, we go back to the original sense of family. I called upon the aunties and they came in and they were able to give some kind of guidance. But a man is a man. And people told me, no, you are now a man and a woman inside. I said, that can't be Naimwe. Me, I'm a man. I can't be a woman. And it takes a woman to do certain things, to nurture a child in a way they can touch the emotions of a child. It will never happen. And so it's just what is called in psychology self-acceptance, knowing my nature. which is actually really impossible. You can only be a father. So for about 6 years, I was parenting alone. And that's why I'm saying it's very emotional. It's not easy to deal with. After parenting children for 21 years with my wife, now I was thrown into the deep end alone. And it took time. Nkwateko amaka and how to try and balance the matter.
Yes.
But it would not work without the aunties getting involved. The sisters to my late wife, they came in, they spoke, they brought the children, talked to them, helped them to pick up the pieces.
Yes.
You know, the tragedy of trauma is big.
Yes.
Yeah, you need the whole village to get involved. So that's what I can say. I have great respect for people who are raising children on their own because it's a very tough job, especially for those who've never been married. I cannot even imagine what it's like. Bantu, it's hard, it's difficult. Charlie kosa sana. Any little thing, even if like a 3-year-old, Fiatumanaka 3-year-old. It took two man and woman, very able people,
Yes.
to raise like a 3-year-old. Number alina to beat. Kambinika 3, Kambinika 1. Alieka. Alebakush. No, I have great respect. Very much so. Even for men who raise children on their own, it's not easy. I have great respect for such people. But what I can also say is that this is not to say, I just want to be clear so that it's okay to be a single mother, no, to be a single father. By adversity, it's okay, but not by planning. Don't plan to be a single father. Don't plan to be a single mother. It's not how God created it. It's not how God made it. He made that a child be taken care of by 2 people. Even the third one, the grandparent, should be there. That's when it really works out best. These are the children who grow to be focused and to be organized in life. But if you raise the child alone and you're too busy with work and everything, you are absent. So really the maid is raising this child.
Yes.
And the maid was never meant to be the mother of your child.
Right.
That's what I can say.
What can you say about blended families? Some people are coming from whereby someone was divorced, and they've gone and they've married, and in that new marriage, there are also children. So you're literally bringing children from this background and also another set of children that were raised in a different way. Now to blend them, to bring them together, I believe it's challenging. What advice can you give to such kinds of families? Because I've heard even of where children ended up now, it was like they were fighting for attention. This is my daddy and this is my mom.
Yes.
It's not your dad.
True.
It's not your mom.
I think a lot of these things, ndande kona mweba nandi, wa mukamfwiru. Me, I'm a former, I'm now married.
Yes.
But I was mukamfwira for 6 years. It meant that even when I was considering the next person to live life with, I really had to find somebody very mature, not childish. And I should say this. Bambi bakulu kwena mumano baiche kulande chishinka. This is what is causing problems in homes. And so if you are a person who has found yourself, maybe you are bereaved, take your time, don't rush. I think I can say so. I didn't panic to marry again, although the pressure was big. The pressure was big. It's real. I mean, it's not even a joke. I even heard a joke recently when somebody lost someone and the pastor went and he was whispering into his ear to say, look, don't be too stressed up about this. Maybe after 6 months you can find a wife. And the guy turns and says, 6 months? What about tonight? So it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure because according to neuroscience, you have neurons in your head that are already arranged. They are already lined up. Every night you have intimacy. That night it won't happen. And not only that night, a year later it won't happen. And 3 years later, it's not the same. And it puts a lot of pressure in trying to cope with change. And change is one of the most difficult things to cope with, because really it's there's a lot of chemicals in the brain that are released to maintain the way you are as a normal human being. This is why you find that some people, after they've lost their loved one, they get depressed and they die. And the simple reason is that the chemicals in the brain are being constantly released, and nothing is taking that up. Just to say a bit on the fact that a person who is in marriage, they're used to a certain level of dopamine release in their brain. So when that's not happening, there will be an excess of cortisol. And cortisol is a poisonous, chemical when it's not regulated. So this is why when you are in depression, you are given some medication, some drugs, which will help to release cortisol by force in the brain. So to just balance that level of dopamine that is required in your body for you to be normal. So these are not simple things that you just throw around. These are things that it takes real experts to view and to see. I'm on the side of therapy. So in terms of therapy, we do help people to catch their thoughts that are not aligned to reality. Intrusive thoughts. So all of these things are things that can help us to see how difficult to be without a wife, or to be without a husband, or to be in a complete new setting where you are sometimes highly stressed because this person is not behaving like the way your wife used to behave. Or these children that have come in, abakusanga mu efitolanda, abakusanga mu abana, bali shupa. You're not used to them. And so when you see their behavior, you're always asking, what's wrong with these kids? And in doing so, your energy is picked up by the kids, and they just feel dad doesn't like us. And when that happens, it's my dad, your dad, your mom. And once that happens, that happens with the kids, there's fights. And when there is fights, there's picking and choosing whose side I'm going to be. So it's a very complex situation. And let us be very civil about building blended families, because they are not as easy to manage. This is why I advise that if you're going to do that, do premarital counseling and find a professional counselor who really understands what is really going on, not just somebody who's going to tell you old ladies' fables and leave you there, and then you find that that counsel is not anywhere that you can relate to in the actual real marriage. So it's very important to understand that blended marriages are not for boys, they're not for girls, they're for real men and women who can stomach the child of another person who was raised for 14 years, you're not there, and you come and you want to exert authority. It's just confusion. And just a little bit of knowledge of how we function in the head can change a lot of things. So it's important to find help, because help is there.
What would you say about marriages? Two people get married, and you would find that in the olden times, in some still, maybe a few, I don't know, I don't have the statistics, but there are some who just get married and then they are given people to say, you're going to have to take care of these people even before they can begin to have their own children. And sometimes you find that there's now contention, and displeasure in the marriage before they can even bond as a couple living together. What are your views on that?
That's what I'm saying. A lot of these things, they really need careful approaches, because it's all about how we behave as human beings. And if somebody doesn't really have a bit of a picture of what that is, it's difficult to see what's going to happen, because really what you're doing, you're taking these two people, they hardly know each other. Maybe some people will say, no, but we dated for 5 years. No, dating is very different from marriage. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. They think we have known each other, we don't need counseling. What kind of counseling is there that we're going to need after 5 years? No, you're going to need counseling even after 5 years of dating. Then when you start living together, usually we recommend that you take about a year of really getting settled in the marriage, because it's a honeymoon throughout. So if you carry your grandmother on your honeymoon, really, it's not a honeymoon anymore. So it's very important that those who are our parents don't give extra burdens. Because when they get there, that's when abuse now comes in. Because this person feels, I'm already paying for everything, so they've just given me 2 wives. In fact, some even claim to say that traditionally, akale, that's what they used to do. So I don't have authority in that. I'm not a teacher of historical marriages, but I've heard this being said, to say that was part of how they used to do things. They would send a woman with a niece, and traditionally when they said that, it meant she was also going to give some kind of some entertainment to the man the days that the woman is not able. So that's where all these things about polygamy, into the African context of marriage, polygamy and all of that come from. But I really, really still don't believe like that, because when I would talk with my mom, I would ask her things like, so what was romance like? And she would tell me, "Mwana romance oko yali." I would like, how? I'd know the guy would spend the whole day creating a bracelet for me. Making sure he decorates it and makes it beautiful. Then he comes up like a bracelet. Men says yes. Men would be gentlemen, would help me, would put punch in between, they run and have fun, and she would go with a bracelet.
But today, men say it's the woman who has to do the work. There are certain things that they're even told, no, and but here you are telling us that your mom tells you stories of where men would actually help even to carry water,
to help the woman with any heavy thing. She would be asked to go far to go and fetch firewood. John would have gone ahead and is the one who is the by the time the lady gets there, they help each other to carry the firewood. She comes home, she's just alone, she looks very tired and everything, but there was John who was helping on the way.
What about those that are already, some are single and they're taking care of their siblings? And then when they marry, what kind of advice would you give? Because if the person has been staying with them, has been caring for them, they're his or her dependents, it seems a bit unfair to ask them to leave just because you're getting married.
The new person is coming in. Well, again, it takes us back to really the importance or the power of family or the power of marriage. And sometimes people may use family and marriage interchangeably, but it's not interchangeable. Marriage is marriage, and so I'll explain. So when we look at it religiously, marriage is usually taken a little bit aside, especially at the beginning, because the Bible actually states that the man shall live. So there's no choice in that. It's a commandment, it's not suggestion. And that's how come some people think it's just no, it's not a suggestion, it's a commandment. He shall leave his mother and his father. Whether he likes it or not, he has to leave. Why must he leave? He leaves because he's now going to establish his own kingdom. Because when we look at it from the original, it's actually family is a kingdom. Marriage is a kingdom.
Yes.
You're starting a kingdom of your own. Even when, let's say we look back at African setting where my father would just point at a stone throw and say, go and create your own house there. what would happen? I would not be eating from my mother's heart anymore. Although I'm in the same vicinity, but I will have left in a sense. So my wife would be free there with me. She would cook for me, but maybe all we would get, in fact, when you are going, they will just give you a bit of smoldering firewood. That was to say, now you are on your own. Go and do your thing. Means you don't have to come and get fire from here. You don't have to come and get food from here. You're on your own. And then you would have another field where you go and dig. You put your bit of garden and stuff like that just behind the house. And that's how you would have been graduated to in your own family. So that meant that there was living in that sense. So of course, now when we come back to a bit of science and psychology, we talk about what is called separation anxiety. Separation anxiety happens when someone has to leave a place where they've been used to. This is why there is usually outcry of no, these two siblings bashalabeka babwishina banyina balifu balesunga na fie.
Yes.
So imamwa isati should leave. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So all we are saying is that this is why we talk about professional counseling, because the professional counselor can then advise appropriately the kind of counseling that has to be offered to this person who is going to be left or is going to be taken to an aunt for a season for the two to give them chance to establish themselves in this new government, in this new kingdom. So that when they are now established, they've made their own rules and they know how things will work. Now they can invite this person back into the home so that they look after her. But after the two having bonded together and having had the same mind, so that there is no confusion. If that separation doesn't happen, there usually would be problems, because the way we operate and the way we think, people will say blood is thicker than water. So you might want so finish with the land, and then fights will erupt. But if you separate, that will not happen, because now this person is now properly connected to this stranger, so who is now their family. So that if this sister comes back, they are now coming back to realize that, oh, now my sister is a new person. They are not the same. Now she's a Mrs. Lungu. She's no longer sharing my name. All those are facets that can help us to ensure that this element of identity is settled, so that there is no quarrel. For instance, if I lived with I did live with my brother. I lived with my brother. When my brother married, in fact, before I knew the plan was to marry, I had to go and I had to excuse them. But instead of me putting it in a way where everybody knew, I said, I'm going to start my life in Botswana. But I really knew the reason why I was leaving home, that I needed my brother to have a good time with his wife, to bond together. My brother looked after me, so I knew it was now my responsibility. After all, I was also of age. I was no longer a young child, and also I was also dating. So that combined, I had to find a way of going to start my life in Botswana, and I lived out there for about a year. Then I came back to marry, pick my wife, and then we went to start our lives there. So all of this is because our mother had prepared us to say, if you this is how you should do. When you reach so that advice paid dividend. And of course, I had many other pastoral advice. You know, when you're getting into pastoral work, you have these your spiritual fathers, you have your mentors, you have people that are going to guide you in your life. So I had very good support system around me when I was leaving home.
You had a good support system.
Absolutely.
But what about those that are in families that are so dysfunctional that there's abuse, there's alcoholism, and you find that even some children are even ending up on the streets because they lack that. How can one bring restoration to such families? How can the hurts and the pains be healed in families?
That's why the ministry is there. Instigate Ministries is committed to helping couples, helping youth, and helping leaders. Meaning, if these children, these young people, are around people who have no God in them, they're drinking and all of that, we as Chance Hub gives, we come together, we take people from different churches and go to one place and then give them a talk on really how to look after themselves, how to ensure that even if they are living in a toxic environment, they themselves can manage themselves in such a way that they protect themselves from the toxicity and grow in the way that God nurtured them to grow, using psychology and using, principles of the Bible. Yeah.
Yes. There's you're talking about you're saying, like your ministry.
Yes.
You are in a sense counseling and helping to restore and rehabilitate.
Giving mentorship, yes.
Yes, and giving mentorship to help people become good leaders over their families, their marriages. But there are situations where you find that it's a Christian home.
Right.
But you hear of things that
are not expected to be there.
Expected from a Christian home, and
True.
Yet people will even entrust you with their children, thinking because you are a Christian, you're going to raise their kids well, or these orphans.
Yes.
But you'll find that some people even have orphanages, and in those orphanages, those children are being abused. Yes.
Let me address my fellow pastors. I think as pastors, we have a responsibility to take care of the church. And taking care of the church, like Jesus asked Peter, do you love me? It's about love. There is no way a person can give out those duties, can deliver the duties, can deliver the goods without love. And so the primary thing is that where there is love, abuse is going to be minimized. Where there is no love, abuse is going to be rampant. So it's very important for us to again go back to the primary setting of that God gives us in terms of marriage, because marriage gives foresight to family. That's why we say that children who grow under a very good marriage are likely to be good husbands and good wives, because they are learning from two people who are from different backgrounds, but leaving all of that to come and build this one thing together in the name of Jesus. And that's what it's all about. Because you see, a lot of times people want marriage for benefit. But really necessarily, while benefit is also part of what we get from marriage, but really it's service. That's what we go to do in marriage. We go to serve. We go to save the child. We go to save the wife. We go to save and save and save. It's only when we have saved and gone with a heart of service and love that in due course we begin to do what? To get. This is why the Bible says, do not grow weary of doing good. So where do we do the good? It's in the same person who we have married. It's in the same child we have. We do good to that child. But I see that some people think that when you say do good, you're doing good to strangers. Yes, it's part of it, but charity begins at home. We must start in the home. When the home is good, when the home is blessed, when the home is well nurtured, there is no way umwana w'omwana angala mukitefe abushira konse. So it's very important for us to focus on the main thing. The problem is that we focus on the peripheral and leaving out the main thing. What do I mean? We focus on building houses. We focus on, getting accolades, traveling the world over. What are you going to achieve? Bible says you can, what does it profit a man to win the whole world and lose his own soul? That's exactly what it is. So marriage is not about me being successful, me being said you are good, but it's me saving so that the way I'm saving will be the same way that my child will save. The Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So it means my working hard is not just to make me feel good. It's not even for my children. But it's for the children of my children. Meaning God is all interested in legacy rather than in my personal success. So it's when we do not do it right that we begin to say our marriage these days doesn't work. No, that's completely unfounded. Where is your proof? The majority of people still today who are in a family they are in a place where they have one mother and one father. The majority. But people want to look for a few people in a little corner because they have 3 wives and they say this is what marriage should be. No, there's something wrong with that kind of attitude.
Thank you so much, Pastor Sam. There's so much
The pleasure is mine.
to discuss. It's so wide. We haven't even spoken about couples that don't yet have children. What kind of a family, and what can they do to navigate that? However, we shall continue on another day. But thank you so much, and the Lord bless you for pouring out your heart to help the viewers out there.
The pleasure is mine.
Viewers, you've heard from Pastor Sam Sikeo, and thank you so much for staying with us. And this being International Family Day, we're looking at the family, and we're saying that families can do better, families can be healed, families can be restored, we can bond, and wherever the families have been broken, there is the ability to restore those families, for families to be together again. See you next week on another episode of Beautiful Ashes with Auntie Mercy. Bye-bye.
Tears drying on my face. Beautiful ashes, I'm rising from